So this video today is going to be about an overview of the immune system, and we're going to separate the immune system into its two parts, the non-specific and the specific. Another couple of names for these are the adaptive and the innate. So if you ever see these used, they mean the same thing, they're just alternate names. So we'll start with the specific immune system, and we'll split it up into its two halves, the humoral and the cellular. So the cellular arm of the immune system, of the specific immune system, is comprised of T cells. And there are two types of T cells. There are Th cells, which stands for T helper cells, and there are Tc cells, which stands for T cytotoxic, or T killer cells. And another way that we refer to these is by one of the molecules on their cell surface. So Th is often referred to as CD4 positive, and Tc is often referred to as CD8 positive. And this is basically because of the different molecules on their cell surface that are particularly important. So in order to activate one of these T cells, we need an antigen presenting cell. And just like the name suggests, this antigen presenting cell, or APC, will present these antigenic molecules to the T cell. And it does this in a very particular way. It puts the antigen, after it's been broken down within the APC, onto something known as MHC. And MHC stands for Major Histocompatibility Complex, and it's essentially just a way to present an antigen to a T cell. And we can see here that the T cell is recognizing the MHC on the APC surface. Now, there are two types of MHC, MHC1 and MHC2, and they correspond to the specific types of T cell. So MHC1 presents to CD8 positive T cells, whereas MHC2 presents to CD4 positive T cells. Once the T cell has seen this antigen and is activated, we see that it will then respond systemically. So Th cells, or T helper cells, are responsible for activating the different parts of the immune system. So once they're activated, they will support other immune responses. And this includes activating the Tc, the killer cells. So the Tc, the cytotoxic T cells, need to be activated both by interaction with an APC, but also via Th support. And that's the cellular arm of the specific immune system. So now we'll have a look at the humoral immune system, or the humoral component of the specific immune system. And the humoral arm is all about antibodies. It's about the development of antibodies from B cells that mature into plasma cells. And this is an important point. It's not the B cell that will produce the antibody. It's the plasma cell that the B cell will mature into. So once a B cell comes into contact with its antigen, it can see it directly. Unlike a T cell that needed the APC to present to it, a B cell uses the antibodies on its cell surface to directly bind the antigen. And we can see this happening here. The antigens are obviously going to be bound directly by their complementary antibody. And this activates the B cell and triggers a process known as clonal expansion. And clonal expansion is where the B cell divides and produces copies of itself. So we can see here that new B cells have been produced that are essentially identical to the previous B cell. Now, these cells have one of two different fates. Either they become a plasma cell, or they become a memory cell. It's also important to recognize the difference between a plasma cell and a memory cell. A plasma cell, as drawn there, does not have an antibody on its cell surface. It is responsible for producing antibodies. A memory B cell does. This memory B cell does have antibodies on its cell surface, and therefore it will be able to respond the next time antigens enter the body. So now we'll finish by looking at the non-specific or the innate immune system. And there are two types of defenses here. We'll start with the surface defenses. And these are things like acid in your stomach, your skin that acts as a physical barrier protecting you, cilia in your throat that try and keep organisms and so forth out, and things like your hair. And this list goes on. The other defenses are the biochemical or the cellular defenses. These include things such as phagocytes, which respond non-specifically. Although they're cells, they respond to all types of pathogens. Interferons, which are particularly important for responses to a viral infection. Complement, which is a generic way of protecting you from many different types of infection and indicating infected cells that need to be destroyed. And finally, natural killer cells.